This screencast will show you how to globalize or add multi-language support to your WebCenter application. Let's take a look at a WebCenter application that's been globalized or had multi-language support added to it. Here we have a website that represents a restaurant, and we've added a language selector in here so we can choose alternate languages. So we're going to choose Spanish, and we're going to click the change button. And what we're going to notice here is that we get changes in the navigation link along here. We get changes in the strings along here, and we get changes in the content down here. So this way we can support visitors coming and wanting to see the site in multiple languages at the same time. We're going to add globalization to our WebCenter portal application. To begin, we're going to add backing code and configuration files. The first step is to copy the globalization folder from the sample code download and put it in your application source tree. That'll add two classes, an application bean class, which is where we're going to store the current language in the session, and a custom phase listener. The custom phase listener's primary job is to invalidate the navigation model so that things will render correctly. Next, we need to register these two classes with the right configuration files. So what you'll do is you'll copy the adssettings.xml file into your meta-inf directory of your application. And what that will do is that will register the custom phase listener. So that takes care of that one. Next, we also need to register a managed bean. With that, what you'll do is you'll edit the adfc config file, and you'll go to the Overview tab, and in the Managed Bean section, you'll click the plus button, which will allow you to define a new bean. Make sure you use the name application bean spelled this way as the name, and then in the edit you can actually browse to your class where the application bean is. That will define the bean, and then in this pull down make sure you use session scope because we want everything to be maintained in session state. Okay, that's what you need in order to get the backing code and configuration files. We're going to add the language selector UI. In our case, what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the Globe page template. So we go to Oracle Web Center Portal App Page Templates and open up the Page Template Global. And in the JSPX file, you basically find a place where you want to put this language selector. So we're going to go into Source View here, and I happen to have put a little placeholder here, which is an output text, so I'll get rid of that because I don't need it. And then we have a snippet that you also copied into the application, language selector snippet, and that's just a piece of XML, and it's going to have a panel group layout. So this panel group layout is going to have the pull down and the necessary things that we need in order to add the UI. So we're going to do a copy here, and then we're just going to paste it in right here, and then let's go back to design view, and you see we now have a language and a change button. Let's see, let's adjust the language here. So we'll change the inline style. We're going to change the color to white so it'll look a little nicer. And then let's see, that'll do for now. And so let's save all this, and then you can go ahead. Now let's test it. So what you would do to test it is you would open up the index.html and select run. And then what we'll do is we'll get UI here. We're going to go to our app, and when we go to our app, you'll see that we now have a language selector. I'm going to change the language to Spanish or Español and click change. Now you don't see anything because we haven't globalized anything yet, but what I'm going to do is I'll log in as WebLogic and WebLogic1, and we should get logged in, and we have an administration page. Now the administration page has been globalized. So it has local language support for a number of different languages. So we're bringing up the page, and you'll see here that the language is indeed in Spanish. So we can volver al portal, and we'll go back to our portal, and there you go. Now it's time to internationalize our application. We have a lot of fixed strings in our template, and we need to turn those into resource bundles. So the first thing we're going to do is enable resource bundles in our application. So we go to Project Properties, we go to Resource Bundle, and we are going to change the type from Properties Bundle to XLIFF Resource Bundle. That's a standard interchange format that's used for internationalization and globalization. Okay, now that we've done that, it's time to use the output selector to globalize our strings. So we pick a string. Here I'm going to take language, and you'll see here it has the value language. So what I'm going to do is go in the properties area here for this element, and I'm going to select this thing called select text resource. It's going to let me change it. It's going to turn it from a fixed string into a bundle. So the first thing I do is I say let's go for language, and that key doesn't exist, and it's going to have the value language as a key, and it's going to look up the display value. This will be English, and then we'll translate it to other languages later. So we do save and select, and what that does is it goes ahead and still uses language as the what's going to get rendered, and then it also added some files to our application. So in here we now have a portalbundle.xlf file, and this is going to have the language strings that we're going to go ahead and translate into different languages. You can see it's an XLF file, which is really XML format. Alright, so we'll do that with the different strings. Now there's another area that we want to do internationalization for too, and that's the navigation links. So what you'll do is you'll go find your default navigation model, and you'll open that. And here we have our home link, so that when we clicked on our menu home, it took us to the home page. We have that set as a page link. You can see the page URL here. It's basically going to invoke home.jspx. And then the string that's going to be displayed in the href that you click on here is home. You can see it's a literal string. So we do a pull down here, and we change that to resource bundle. So now it's going to be a resource bundle. And then we click over here, and we get the same select text resource. And we're also going to, let's just go ahead and type in home again here, so it also fills in the key. And now we're going to have a key home with a value home. Again, we do save and select, and it's putting it in this default navigation file. So when we're done, we're going to have, let's open this file. So we open it, and we'll see, oh, wrong one. Let's open the portal bundle XLF file. Okay, so we open this file, and you can see we have these translation units. One says language, one says home. Now we've internationalized our application. Now we're going to localize our application. To do that, we take the internationalization resource bundle that we created, and we start adding the translations. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the portalbundle.xlf file, and we're going to make a copy of it. We'll do that by doing save as, and we're going to add an extension to it, which will be underbar ES, and we're going to add Spanish localizations. So now we have a file which is going to contain our Spanish translations. This is the same file that you would send out if you were using a third party to do translations. There's also automated tools that could be used to help do this as well. So in the target element, that's where we're going to put our translations. So let's update the element. And for language, the Spanish translation is idioma. And then we're also going to update the navigation link. And the navigation link here for home, in this context of a web app, the translation for home is actually inicio. So now we have our localizations, and we have support now for the Spanish language. And now we're ready to test our globalized application. We rerun the application by selecting the index.html file and selecting Run. And then we can bring up our web browser. We can go to our application. And here we are in English. We're going to select Spanish or Espanol as our language and hit the Change button. You'll see that the language string gets changed to idioma, and the home link gets changed to inicio. And there we are with multi-language support.